Good. Hi, folks. Jerry Gagne on Facebook. Welcome back to those of you who might have missed the show. If it's brand new to you, heck, welcome. We're not professionals. We do our very best, but if you see if there's something you want us to do or say, all you have to do is send in the questions via Facebook. This is the pre-show. What we do is in a pre-show is I just kind of sit here by myself, uh, and I have some things I want to talk to you about. But it's our way of making sure everything is working right. The picture looks good, and I've become known for wearing a hat. Does that look good? Does that look good? Okay. So I wear a different hat every show, or I try to. So let's talk about pigeons. That's what the show is all about. I actually wrote myself some notes. Got a call today. Yeah, it was today. And I try to share these calls with you folks because if one person is asking the question, maybe you have the same question in mind and need an answer. His question when he called me was one of his pigeons in one of their ears, only one pigeon, that particular pigeon had some yellow stuff in his ear and was breathing heavily. He wanted to know what it might be. And I asked him if he considered possibly canker. And that led me to think about maybe sharing this information with you because he said, I never knew a pigeon could get canker in the ear. Well, they can. Pigeons can develop canker in any opening that's in their rectum, in their mouth, in their ears, and actually around their eyes. So just because it's not deep in their throat, it doesn't mean it's not canker. And if it is canker, of course, you want to treat for it. Then another guy called me today, and they were talking about, or I was talking about and suggesting he give the bird some pills. And the question was, well, how do you give a pill? To me, it's common sense, but that doesn't mean I'm right. So how do you give a pigeon a pill? If I had a bird, I never thought of it to bring one in, but all you do is hold the beak open. Now, I'm so used to it after 70 years, I can do it myself. But maybe you'll need somebody to hold the bird. And then you gently pry the throat or the beak open, upper and lower beak, you open it, and you drop the pill right down, and it'll go down the throat. So once you've dropped the pill, then I close the beak and I gently massage its throat to make sure it's swallowed. And after I've massaged the throat, I open the beak up again to make sure the pill has been swallowed. So that's how I do it. Now, let me put my glasses on. People, and you've heard me talk about this before, when is the right time to take a young bird out of one section and put it with the other young birds? That is pretty easy. What I do, once again, I catch the bird that I think is maybe old enough. It's eating and drinking, but it may not quite be old enough. I turn the bird upside down, I open its wing, and I look at the skin of the bottom of the wing. And if you can see skin of any kind, it's too early. Don't move it over. Don't wean it at that point. And then in a couple of days, I pick it up again and I check under the wing. If it's fully feathered under the wing, it's old enough to be moved into the young bird section or taking it out of the breeder section. It's good to take those birds out because some people don't, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but they're opening up themselves to a young baby maybe getting caught in a corner by an adult bird, a male bird, a very aggressive male bird, especially if the corner happens to be where a pair might have chosen as a nesting area. A male bird won't kill the baby, but he could literally scalp it, take all the feathers off the head, and all you'll see is a bloody skull. I've seen it. Other people called me about that. So it's always best to wean the young one to another section when it's old enough to be weaned. I talk about pigeons occasionally, and I mention the wattle or the eye cere. So the word cere, C-E-R-E, is the skin around the eye. Some birds will also, it'll grow real big, and that's usually the old bird, real big cere skin that you can see. And the same in the nose, a big nose wattle, W-A-T-T-L-E, wattle, will get very big. So older birds will show their age sometimes that way. And if you're buying birds and you're not sure, and the guy says it's a young bird, if it's not banded, be very leery. You might be buying a bird that's 10 years old. I've got them birds right now. I think it's 16 years old. And they have the eye cere that's real big and the big nose wattle. So that's something. No, so from a terminology standpoint, maybe you weren't sure. Now I've run into this over the years, and it seems to affect. I'll take the coffee, Brad. Thank you. I asked a young man to go get me some coffee. Thank you very much. Um, in talking about the overbite is what I wanted to talk about on your pigeons. And for whatever reason, there are some strains of pigeons that seem to have it more than others. I keep a lot of racing homers, and I've noticed it on them on occasion. And if it does it once, you might see the next round from that parent. You might see it again in another bird. So, what do you do about it? You have to be careful. When I trim a bird's beak, you will look. It's always the upper beak goes over the lower beak. That's an overbite, and I use the fingernail clippers. And you look at that upper beak, and you can see where the veins or the blood going to the beak end, at the very end of the beak. That's what you want to cut off as best you can. You don't want to go too far up the beak because the bird will bleed terribly, or you might want to have something to quick stop or something like that that stops the bleeding. But I've done it enough times now where I know where to cut. So you want to cut just a little bit up to get rid of the part that's sticking over the lower beak. That's important to do because if you don't do it, what happens is the upper beak will grow and grow and grow, and it'll grow over the lower beak, and what you'll have is the two beaks will be crossed. It becomes very difficult for the bird to eat now. So if you have an overbite situation, you want to take care of it using a pair of nail clippers. You might want to get something just to have handy, but you should have something like Quick Stop in your loft anyways, in case you do get a toenail tore off or a bleeding situation where the Quick Stop will stop it in a hurry. Now, we've been asked about vinegar. When you're adding vinegar to water, and more people are doing it, what vinegar does is it makes the water acidic. Generally speaking, bacteria cannot grow in an acidic environment. So by adding vinegar, apple cider vinegar, it's so important, the brown stuff. Don't buy that clear water looking vinegar. That's not what you want. You want the benefits of apple cider vinegar. And the directions for that are 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon. Has to be changed every day. In very, very warm climates or hot days, I'm talking about 85 or something like that, then you might want to cut back on the apple cider vinegar to 1 teaspoon. Like anything else, you can drink too much of anything, including Jack Daniels, including coffee. Okay. In using antibiotics, a lot of you folks keep antibiotics in your loft, and it's a good thing to do. In an emergency, you don't have to wait to get your medication if you have it. And I'm going off of my notes here, but some of the things I would have in my loft are something for canker. Any of the medications, you can either get it in pill form, liquid form, or in powdered form. I like the powdered form because canker is contagious. So you want to have something for canker. Then you might want to have something for respiratory. Now, if you're not, respiratory is a touchy issue because there are different kinds of uh, respiratory problems. So what I suggest you do is have some amoxicillin powder in your loft. Um, Amoxicillin is broad spectrum. It even can be used when you're breathing. Um, and it treats a multitude of different diseases, including respiratory or any bacterial infection. So it's a good idea to have something like amoxicillin. If you want to have a particular product particular to respiratory, then you might want to consider something like doxycycline. Um, with doxycycline, and here again, I'm just going off on a tangent, make sure if you use anything with cycline, Cycline, at the end of the product name, remove the grit. It's a given. Don't use cycline when you're using grit. And why? They counteract each other. So really, whatever you're doing, if you use them both at the same time, I'm talking about if they're reading grit and using a cycline product, the cycline product is not doing the job you would hope. And you'll remind me won't you, Veronica? You're not going to sleep, are you? If I'm getting long-winded, you let me know. Oh, I see I'm getting close. Okay. When I talk about antibiotics, um, we are, when I'm talking about antibiotics, you should have a product called Bromhexane, Bromexine, or something like that, Bromhexane. It's a marvelous product. It was brought on the market a few years ago by Dr. Botha in South Africa. And what it does is, let's say you have a product that requires a 7-day treatment. The first 4 days of that treatment include bromhexane powder with the medicine that you got in the drinking water. It's a boost. It's like the pigeon is going to get a jolt of the antibiotic because sometimes it takes a little while for an antibiotic to take effect. With a bromhexane, it's something you should have. You want to put it the first 4 days of any medication, whether it's a 4-day treatment, a 5-day treatment, 7-day treatment, 21-day treatment, first 4 days. Combine it with bromhexane. Now, I've talked and my time's just about running out. So I wanted to mention something to you. Keep your drugs in a warm, dry environment, not necessarily in the refrigerator. That's not what I do. By yourself or look around if somebody's remodeling their kitchen. See if you can find a cabinet, a wooden cabinet, or even a box to I keep it in my loft. I keep the medicine cabinet door shut. So it's dark and it's dry. It keeps your powdered antibiotics full strength for a longer period of time. So I've gone over my time, but I blame that on Gina and Veronica because they stole some time from me. So I'm going to go a little bit over. I get a question sometimes where you've got young in the nest and the parent, one of the parents or both of the parents either died, escaped, didn't come home. And what do you do? Because in many cases, if let's say you have some young in the nest and small young ones and the hen dies or is gone, the male or the female, whichever way it goes, won't necessarily continue to feed that young one. They might for a few days and then they'll walk away looking for another mate. So what I suggest you do is you may want to write this down, or if you want to call me at a later date or email Gina, she can tell you. What do you feed a very young baby in the nest? It can't eat by itself, and it needs feed and needs water. So here's what is an old remedy that was given to me by Dr. Pigeon. For the first 7 days, what you're going to do is get an egg yolk So you just get the yolk of the egg and not the white. And you want to bring it to room temperature. I didn't say heat it, just bring it up to room temperature. So you put the yolk in a little cup and let it sit there until it gets back to room temperature. So you're going to feed that for the first 7 days, nothing but the egg yolk. I use something like this. It's a bulb, we sell them, but turkey based or something like that, or even a syringe, and you're going to put the yolk down the bird's throat. I'm sure one yolk is plenty for a bird that size. It might even be too much, so you don't want to overdo it. So let's just say um, one yolk per bird or less. You're going to do that for 7 days. Then, up from the 7th day to the 14th day, get yourself some cream of wheat, the cereal that you can go into any drugstore and buy. And you want to warm that up too. You don't want it to be real hot. What you want it to do is, once again, room temperature. So heat it up a little bit or just room temperature using a bulb or something like that. You're going to mix the cream of wheat with the egg yolk for 2 or 3 days. Let's just say 2 days to make it easy. And then you're not going to add any more yolk. You're just going to give the bird cream of wheat. And don't stuff the bird's crop so it's all expanded. But if you're going to take on this challenge, you can't just feed them once a day because the mother and father don't do that. They feed them on a regular basis. So if it's at all possible, feed it at least 3 times a day. 4 is better, spaced out during the day. So that's why you don't want to overfeed them. You want them to digest what you gave them and then feed them again and try to do it for 4 times a day. Well, am I ready, Gina? Or, okay. Okay, let me see if I missed anything. Question I asked, I only got 2 more things. Sometimes people ask me, how much room do my birds need? Rule of thumb, on the size of your loft or size of your section, one bird requires an area 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, 3 square feet. So that's just off the top of your head, one other thing, I get calls all the time. Um, Somebody asked me uh, about his birds. He was saying, I go by what you tell me and I try to keep my birds hungry. But he says, I notice when they're hungry, when they first go to eat, they're pecking at the feed and they're all, pushing to get their feed. And I notice every once in a while one of the birds will stand up and its its chest will be blown out a little bit. Now that concerns them, but that's not something to worry about. What it is the birds are picking at the grain so quickly they're sucking and eating and sucking, and they're getting more air into their chest than I might normally have, so it blows up. But within a minute or so, uh, as they're breathing, the chest muscle or the chest cavity goes back down. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed what I've talked about. It's going to give me a break to drink my coffee. Now, what am I supposed to do, Gina? We're going to be back momentarily. I got devil from Gina last week because I didn't do that. So we'll be back in a minute or two. I thought that was a pretty good section. Don't you? They talking to me?
Hi, welcome to Boys on Facebook. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's having a great day. How are you today?
I'm well. What is your name?
Can I get to it?
It's Maya. I know you can. I promise to behave myself, and I'm going to try to do that. Hi. My name's Jerry.
My name's Gina, and as always, Veronica's behind the scenes.
But you're already laughing. I
Happy
haven't done
Friday.
anything.
Thank you guys for tuning in with us. And I also want to thank you for your questions, your comments, and all your kind words that we always hear on a regular, whether we're at a show or people call us and tell us how much they appreciate the show and how much they appreciate Jerry when they call.
And Gina.
People call on the regular and have health questions for Jerry, and he's always answering questions, calling people back. So if you ever have any questions for him, you can call him at home. His number is 724-359-5355.
And when should they call me?
9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. He may call you back after those hours, but it won't be too late. So today's show is going to be preparing for show season. So before you go to the show, what you should do, and then what you should do after the show. Also, if we have time, we're going to talk about pre-breeding because breeding season is coming up soon. Okay?
It's hard to believe. It's sort of like I can't believe it's Christmas already.
I know.
It's just so hard to believe that the
like
year
that.
is almost over and breeding season.
We have like
is now
80 some days, I think, left in the year. It's crazy.
And people are still breeding. I know. I talk to
Right.
people on a regular basis. You, not to interrupt, real, but while I'm thinking about it, got to give a bird a rest. It's like a woman being pregnant 9 months, and then 10 months later she's pregnant again, and they need a rest. So make sure if your birds should be given a rest. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And by the way, I wasn't late. Jerry ran overtime, so that's why I was late. I was standing here waiting for him. So, I also want to mention that we are now live on YouTube. You don't have to wait till after the show to watch us on YouTube. We are live now as the show is on Facebook. Go ahead.
No, just don't point.
Oh, I was just...
Yeah.
You're right. I talk with my hands a lot. I try not to.
Well, what she's telling us, folks, is that when I do my segment, my hands are going out like that. You probably noticed it, and it blurs because I'm going too fast. So yeah. I was told in between not to do that. And guess who's doing it? Oh.
I know, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, we're live on YouTube. If you have any questions about that, just ask. We didn't have an auction again this week because nobody has donated birds. So if you'd like to donate birds for the MPA Legacy Fund Trust, please contact Jerry at his phone number that I gave earlier, and he will answer any questions that you have about it.
May I expand on that?
You may.
You mind?
No.
I sent out emails to 60 or 70 people over the last couple of weeks asking, praying, pleading for pigeons for these auctions. The auctions raise money to help the hobby, the future of the hobby. And I wanted to thank two individuals. John DiCarlo, the president of the National Pigeon Association, was kind enough to respond immediately, and he's sending me birds next week. Didn't say what or how many, but John is a master breeder in a number of different breeds, so anything we get from him, I'm sure we'll do well. And then I got an email from Tim Heinrich. He's donated before, as John has. And he's sending some birds also, at least one pair next week. So I'm very comfortable with telling you the auctions will continue. And the only other point I wanted to make about the auctions, I think some of you folks have a misconception in that you don't have birds that are good enough to send. All you have to do is send good, healthy pigeons. People are looking for them. They don't have to be show champions. They don't have to be birds that fly 500 miles and racing homer. Just some good quality birds. And it offers people that are watching the show the opportunity to maybe get a breed they'd like to try or start out on. So if you're listening to the show and you really do appreciate it, consider sending me a pair or two or a pair. And I'll even pay for the postage. You pay for the box, but I'll pay for the postage.
Banded.
Yep, they have to be banded. When I say the Legacy Fund Trust will do that. Thank you. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
It's okay. Okay, I also wanted to say that if you're not an NPA member, you may consider being an NPA member. We have the membership forms, or you can go right on the NPA website and you can fill out your form online, or you can print it and send it in with your money. It's an annual rate.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay annually. We will have them at the shows that we're attending. We'll have the membership forms if you'd like to become a member. So we will.
Would you mention that special we have for youth in becoming a member? Don't we have a?
Oh, yes. What's it called, Veronica? We have a kit for junior members. So 18 and under. It's a kit, and if you buy that kit, that child, we pay for their membership for the NPA. There goes my hands again. Mm-hmm. We pay for the NPA membership, so they'll be a member for a year.
And the products are all discounted, are they not?
Yes, and the shipping is free. It's a basket, some show cage cups, a sample of feed.
The basket's a big thing.
I forget. Yeah, a couple other things in there.
It's online.
It is online. It's in the catalog. And if you have any questions, just contact me or anybody in the office. They know about it.
Gina and I and Kim had a discussion about this half an hour before the show or something, about the value of the NPA. Every hobby usually has a club or a group or an organization. And the purpose for that, NPA means National Pigeon Association, you should support them. Don't worry about what you're going to get for your money. Consider it a contribution. The clubs, the NPA supplies us with bands, NPA bands. They have literature. They support the membership. And if you have questions, so the National Pigeon Association is needed. The dues are inexpensive. Join the NPA with the group like that. If there are problems, they sometimes have money to hire maybe I forget the word, in Washington, D.C., a lobbyist. So they're always working for you behind the scenes. Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome. Speaking of bands, now is the time to pre-order your year bands. The bands for 2021 they're not available, but we're taking pre-orders now. They're the same price as last year. So if you'd like a specific number on your bands, you have to order at least 100, but you can order those now, and then they will ship at the end of December.
First come, first serve.
Right. So we don't have a lot of pre-orders for specific numbers. We have a lot of pre-orders, but not for the specific numbers. So if you like low numbers that are 3 digits, now's the time to order them. Oh, we have the NPA, all sizes. We have AU, IF, and IPB in size 7 and 8. So if you want to pre-order, give us a call, or you can order them on our website. I want to talk about a new product that we have now. We just got it the other day. It is the new Racing Pigeon Nutri-Drops. You may be familiar with the regular Nutri-Drops. This one is for racing pigeons. It has more vitamins, minerals, nutrients in it. And what else?
Well, I called the company when Gina mentioned and showed me the product, and they referred me to Jim down in Florida, who handles the sales, because they make other products and are not terribly familiar as Jim is with pigeons. And I said, well, Jim, what's the difference between the regular Nutri-Drops and the Nutri-Drops made for racing pigeons? And I made a point to Jim, and he had never thought they might change their labeling later. It really should be Nutri-Drops for flying birds, because there are homers, rollers, tipplers, donics, and they are flying. And he said, the major difference is the Nutri-Drops that we have had on a regular basis. This one is concerned mostly with health, keeping the birds healthy. The racing pigeon Nutri-Drops is more geared to energy, because when you're flying birds, they need a boost of their energy to make the flight, whether it's a high flyer, racing homer roll, or whatever it is. So it is two different products. They are certainly different. And if you have homers and Donics or something else, you may want to consider having them both. One is for health, one is mostly for energy. So if you're raising fantails or if you're raising runts or something like that, talking with my hands again, you made me self-conscious. So the birds that are not considered flyers, just a regular Nutri-Drop. So if you have both, you might want to have both, use both products.
It's also good for the immune system.
Pardon?
For the immune system. Okay, I thought so.
Strengthens the immune system. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the Pigeon Nutri-Drops and the Racing Pigeon Nutri-Drops.
And we have it in stock, or is it on
Yes,
order?
it's in stock. We have it. Yep, it's already on the website. Everything. There's a product that we've been out of for a long time, and a lot of people have been asking about it. We finally got it back in stock. It's the Oxine, which is a disinfectant. Comes in a 32 ounce and a gallon size. Those are also on our website. Pretty much everything we're talking about today is on our website under featured products. When we talk about products on the show, I try to put it under the featured products for a whole week, just so people can find the products easy. It's right there when you go to the front of the website. Anything to add on Oxine?
No, Oxine is a great product. People have used it for years and years and were quite upset that they couldn't get it. Being in business, we hate to have that situation. We, just like you, because we're losing sales from it, and we were so happy. There were two products that were going to have. The other one would be the can't remember.
Oxine?
No, doesn't matter. You just told me it was back in stock. It was they weren't shipping it to us for a while. Oregano.
Oh.
But we don't have it yet, but it's coming, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't think. Couple more notes and we'll get on to our show topics. Next weekend on the 17th, we will be going to Baltimore for the Beachfield Pigeon Show. If you have any questions, you can call me. If you need the address or whatever, you can call. We have gotten quite a few pre-orders right now. If you'd like to order, you need to order, I'd probably say by Wednesday. That way we can get it in a truck, because we also are bringing products to sell. So it's filling up. So if you want to pre-order for the show, then you might want to call and get your order, and you do have to pay for your order ahead of time. And if you need vaccines, now's the time to get it, so you don't have to pay for that overnight shipping. We can bring it to the show. It'll be on ice. It'll stay cold, and you can take it home with you.
And of course, big benefit, you're not paying any shipping.
Right.
But as Gina mentioned, the sooner the better, because we're not taking a big U-Haul truck. All we're taking, and we're not taking a trailer. We're
Right.
just bringing the pickup truck. And so we have limited space, and I'm looking over there, and we have almost a full pallet already. That's 4 foot by 4 foot. So if you want to go, and are you going to be sharing where the show is? Contact information as to who to call about the show?
They can call me if they have any questions.
The reason I ask is they may want to know what the deadline is.
Oh, yeah.
So in talking about the show, we'll be there. Save the shipping. Just makes so much sense. So give us a call, and we'll load it up for you. And every year we say this. Then people call near the end, but just before we leave, and we don't have any more room.
Right. So, talking about vaccines, we've had a few issues lately. If you have been on the website and you went to order vaccines, there's, what is it called? The little button? No. You have to hit a button saying that you accept. If you do not pick overnight shipping, that you accept the consequences for that. So if you choose 2-day shipping or regular shipping, you get the vaccine and it's not cold, then the vaccine's not good. We're not going to replace it because you chose to ship it another way. We recommend overnight. That way the vaccine stays cold, it'll still be good, and you don't have no problems with it.
And both the veterinarians who produce that product tell us it should be sent overnight,
Right.
with few exceptions.
So, if you're going to any of the shows and you vaccinate, you should get them when we go to the shows. That way you don't pay the overnight shipping because it is costly. And if you have any questions on that, you can give us a call also.
And if you are going to the show and you do expect to pick up a vaccine there, you might want to bring your own ice pack. If you can get an ice pack at a feed store, just about anywhere, a pharmacy has them, just in case we run out of ice packs, because you want to put them in your car and you want to keep them cold on the way home.
No, we don't give you ice packs at the show because we got to keep what we have cold in the cooler. So you would want to bring an ice pack unless you live real close, and you can get it right before we leave. Okay, I think we can start talking about.
Crammed a whole bunch of stuff in there.
We did.
We might have to do a 2-hour show.
No, we don't. So I'm gonna go with the first question. Hi, Vicky. She said, "When does the molt end? I have enough feathers to open my own pillow factory."
Well, see, Vicky, you can't use the wing feathers, only the down feathers, the real soft one. So what I would suggest when you start to fill the pillow, you sort them all out and put all the soft feathers in this, and on the longer feathers, you save those, and when you go to a fair or something like that, you take the feathers, the wing feathers, and you give them to the kids. They love them. Tell them that they can dip them in ink and write on the wall with them.
Okay.
But, in answer to your question, it ends when it ends. Different climates have a longer or a shorter molt period. My birds are molting too. In fact, every time I open up the storm door to go into my loft, the feathers are coming out, and in front of my loft or near the door, it looks like it's snowing out there.
Hi, Russ. Russ asked, "Do you know what the 2021 bands look like, wide or narrow in colors?"
No changes at all, right?
No, they're the same. The IPBs are both white. The other ones we have not received yet, so I don't know the colors. But the IPBs are white. Once we get the other ones, we do post them online so you can see the colors. But as of right now, we haven't received all the other ones yet. Okay. So no.
Thanks, Russ.
So before the show.
Pre-show. Okay.
Show season, yeah.
We wanted to talk about
through
that,
show.
and we also recognize, of course, that a lot of shows have been canceled.
Right.
We're going to one.
We're going to one next week. We're going to one the end of the month. As of right now, we're still going to one in December.
And we're going. Iowa is the one.
Iowa's in December.
It looks like, and we do not know, have not received word of any cancellation of the National Pigeon Association Grand National
Or Lancaster.
Or Lancaster show. And if we do get confirmation, they're telling us they have not canceled them.
Right.
So they're on for now, and we will mention it on our website, and we'll mention it at our show if we get new information.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Pre-show, some of this stuff you already know. Most of you do, but maybe some of you don't or never gave it a thought yourself. First thing you want to do if you're going to show birds, they got to be clean. Common sense says that, but I've seen it where it's not necessarily the case. But something that's very important is get each bird that you're going to show and handle them. Open the wing, spread the tail. What you're looking for is insects, any kind of a parasite, whether it's a mite or lice. You want to look at that, and you want to, if you do have any issue at all, you want to take care of that either with a spray or something like Permectin 2 is my favorite. You want to clean all the bugs off, but it might be too late. If you spread the wing and you see the little pinholes in the wing feathers, and if your birds have already gone through the molt or may not have completed the molt, um, if you see pinhole feathers, you can't show them. Now, can't is a strong word. You should not show them because the birds are going to be automatically disqualified by the judge. Your bird can be better than the bird behind it or a bird next to it, but if you've got pinhole feathers, that tells the judge that you have insects on your birds, and to be frank, you should have taken better care of them and prepared them for the show. So you want to check that, check all the feathers. Now, when I say check the feathers, I'm asking you to open up the wings, look on the top, look at the bottom, and then run your fingers over the bird, maybe very, very slowly and softly, against the grain, so to speak. What you may find every once in a while, there I go pointing again. What you may find is the pigeon fly. A pigeon fly lives on the bird. No, it doesn't fly around, and it runs very, very quickly, but it is a fly, and it sucks blood. If the judge finds it, bird's out. So make sure that your birds are free of all parasites. You may want to dip them with in the permectin as directed. That would help the situation. Okay. One thing you may not think about is transportation to the show. What are you going to bring them to the show in? A cardboard box? No, you shouldn't do that. But no matter how you take them to the show, what you want to do is have clean litter. Whether you're using shavings, whether you're using straws, clean the basket out. You may not have thought of this, but if you carried birds in your basket, what could happen is when you take the birds out of the basket, for whatever reason, the birds have left bugs in the carrying basket. And you did your very best to check to make sure they're clean, but you're putting them in an environment where there may be insects again, could jump on the bird, your bird could be disqualified. So clean off your baskets or carrying whatever you use, disinfect it if at all possible, and put clean litter in the baskets. I know it sounds common sense. Well, anybody should do that, but believe me, everybody does not do it. Do you have anything you want to add?
They might not think about it.
That's right. May I take a sip of coffee and you talk for a while?
You may. So he was talking about, what were you talking about? Bugs.
Bugs.
Bugs. I might need that short-term memory medicine too.
What do you mean? People don't want to know that I have a bad problem with my memory.
Bugs.
Bugs.
We, as well as other suppliers, sell different things that you can use for the bugs. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Your face is all red.
I drank coffee before the show because I'm tired because I didn't sleep last night, so it gave me energy, so don't mind me. Anyways, we sell products as well as other suppliers. Scalex is good. That's a spray.
Mm-hmm.
Something else I wanted to show. Oh, the pest strip. This is a very good product. You hang it in your loft or wherever else you need to hang it for bugs. We've used it in our house for ladybugs and stink bugs before because the stink bugs
and it also
are terrible.
Those little gnats. This time of the year in my basement, I get those gnats and I hang, and I've got a fairly large basement. I hang 2 or 3 of them. Takes care of the gnats. Something else, and it just popped in my mind based on what Gina was saying. You may want to cut maybe a 3 or 4 inch piece off of it, because it's only about this wide, and hang that in the basket, or tape it to the underneath basket, inside the basket. What it's going to do is prevent those birds from picking up bugs at the show or whatever. So it's just another thought.
But that's a very good product. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. for instance, the next show we're going to, which is the first show in Baltimore, and we're leaving on a Thursday? Friday. So maybe start tomorrow, for instance, was today's Friday. Yeah, I would start today or tomorrow in preparing the birds for the show. So what I would suggest you do is in the water, what you want to do is, let me find it here, I wrote it down, show water. Show water is a product we've had for a number of years, and it's made specifically for birds, for people who are going to show birds. But it isn't something you put in the day of the show. It has to get into their system. So what you want to do is maybe start tomorrow or Sunday with the show water in their drinking water. Then you're going to get yourself either a quart, depending on how many birds you're going to bring, or a 1 gallon jug, and you're going to mix up your show water and take it with you. You don't want to change anything that you can keep. How do I say this? You want to keep that same routine. Pigeons get used to things, so when you go to a show, you don't want the birds be drinking the water that the show is supplying. You might have soft water, it may be hard water. So and maybe a more or less chlorine or no chlorine. So what you want to do is bring your show water. And it sounds, I don't know what the word is, but put a sign on your cage. Every cage where you've got a bird, put a little sign on it. Bring something to attach it to the cage wire, telling people, please do not water my birds. Please do not feed my birds, because they're going to be putting their water in, and they're going to be changing the feed. So once again, that leads to bring your own feed. You don't want to break the routine of a bird. The feed changes all of a sudden, then they may reject it. So bring your own feed too. Bring your own water, bring your own feed. But also, if you're driving a long distance and you're going to be watering your birds on the way, you should have the show water. The show water is a small container, so you want to be sure to have enough to water the birds on the way home. And then what I would suggest you do, give it to them for a couple of days after you get home, and then go back to their normal water that they're used. So we're talking about the sign. One of the things, well, I've already talked about a clean basket. One of the other things you want to make sure you don't do is overcrowd the basket. Now, I'm talking about people who have a 6, 8, 15 bird show or 20 bird show basket. What you want to do is, as I mentioned before, is to keep it clean, but more importantly, or as important, don't crowd your birds in. You're just asking for birds that are going to be soiled, and if they have dirty tails or something like that, you're just asking for more trouble.
One thing you didn't mention that is good to get your birds used to being judged is the judging stick. We sell them as well as other people, I'm sure. We sell a lot at the shows because a lot of people forget them. But it's a judging stick. It does have a pen on the end if you need to write with it.
The important thing is to get your birds used to a judging stick. So you should be doing it right away. Everybody should have at least a cage in their loft or in a separate place and get the birds used to this. Because if they've never been tried to be moved or poked by a judge, they're going to resist it. They're going to fly away from it. But if your birds are used to it, you've got one step up, because judges don't like to judge wild birds trying to catch them, or they're going to go crazy and they're going to lose a feather. So the judging stick is very important, but very important. I keep doing that. I know I'm not supposed to. And by the way, can we ask about, are you seeing the show well? I mean, it's not blurred or not fuzzy or anything. Should I ask that?
Yeah, you can ask.
Go ahead.
You just did.
Oh, okay. Because we've got some reports that the show is fuzzy. We're trying to do
earlier it was, but you was going like that.
Okay.
You was going
All
like
right.
that to the camera. So,
Okay.
we're going to answer a question. Vicky asked, which bands need to be on the pigeons that are donated to the Legacy Fund Trust?
Any band.
It's a good question.
Yep.
Not any band.
No, I'll be
year
quiet
band.
while you interrupt then.
You interrupted me first.
So this is a situation where
Yes.
the ball's in my quarters and
It's in mine.
Okay.
So a year band. You said any band, which says it can be a marker band.
Well, I was going to, expound on that sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
But any band, whether it's NPA, AU, IF, or IPB, any of those birth bands are fine.
What if it's a club band?
That's fine.
So
as long as it has the year on it.
Right. So any year band will suffice.
That's our first big argument.
I know. Randy says, I have trouble finding pigeon grit. What other grit can I use?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you know the answer to that one.
Chicken grit?
No. What do we have him make on a regular basis in
grit
bags?
Concentrate.
Go ahead.
The pigeon grit concentrate. We sell pigeon grit concentrate. It's a 5-pound bag, but you have to mix it with
any kind of a grit that you can buy. A chicken grit is fine if that's all you can find, but a chicken grit does not have the minerals and the trace minerals in it that a pigeon needs. So what you do is you take a 5-pound bag, you can put it in a wheelbarrow, anything to mix it all together, put 5 pounds to a 50-pound bag of chicken grit, stir it all up, it'll turn the grit sort of a reddish color. It has all the minerals. That product has been on the market for over 50 years and it's still a good seller because a lot of people have that problem. They can't find a grit.
Yep. Everywhere people have that problem.
Yep.
Okay.
Like
hi, Lewis. Hat? I love your hat.
Thank you.
Hi, Lewis. He says, hey, Jerry, I need an energy drink for my rollers. I've been using Winsmore, but the last bag I used was no good. Anything else I can use? For his rollers. Lewis, we have the Racing Pigeon Nutri-Drops. That helps with energy. It also helps with our immune system. We have a couple other products.
Yes, we do.
I can't think off the top of my head.
If we went to the catalog, we could find it. But if you went to our website, you're going to try to look it up.
Yeah.
If you go to the website, Gina's going to try to find them under energy. But we have at least 4 or 5 products that are made specifically for energy. One of them might be we have a product called Ultimate Elixir. Once again, that's a Dr. Pigeon product who passed away a few years ago. A good friend of mine, a genius when it came to mixing supplements and having them really do what they want. So Dr. Pigeon makes something called Ultimate, meaning the best, Elixir, and it is a product that gives them energy. You have another one?
Yeah, we have. If you have our new catalog, it's on page 96. But one is Supersonic Powder. We have Wing Speed Performance Powder, Natravit, and Dextronic.
So there's a number of them. On the Winsmore, you say it's no good. If the Winsmore turns brown on you, that doesn't mean it's no good. It means it's accepted some, especially if you open the product, some dampness in the air. If it's tan colored or chunky, you can still use it. It's not bad. Now, if it's moldy or smells bad, that's another thing. But if it's just the color, use it anyways.
Okay.
We were talking about showbirds, or we haven't?
We have
another question?
Oh, no, that's the same one. You want to talk about the Kate, whatever this is called.
Okay, we're talking pre-show.
Yeah.
That's not pre-show, is it?
Oh, it's during the show.
Okay. All right. This is the product.
You're
once again, the show season is upon us. If you want these, we sell out at almost every show we go to. This goes into the show cage. Remember we talked about cleanliness, and you want to clean your bird's feet before you go, clean it so there's nothing there. When you put this on the floor of a cage, they're standing on it, and most of the droppings go right through to the floor of the cage. Good thing to have, helps keep your birds clean. Because like I say, the judges are, in almost all cases, good judges. But when it gets down to the end where you got to pick this bird or this bird, and they're so similar, if the judge is looking for a reason to knock one out so that they can get to the last one, and if they're both almost exactly in point system, if he sees a bird with dirty feet, if he sees bugs, that kind of thing, it gives him a reason to just to get one out and keep that one. So do everything you can. This will help. One of the other things it does is help keep the tail clean, because the bird dragging his tail in the cage, and if it's all feces or poop on the floor, then maybe it'll be knocked out. So it's a good product to have. Well, that's FedEx here.
This is another. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. You want to talk about
Go
these?
ahead.
Okay. This is.
You usually hit it. Yeah, I didn't do it.
There it goes. Okay. Hit this one. This is a product nobody else makes. We made it specifically for the show. And what you do, this is made to fit in a show cage. Now, all show cages are not the same, but 90% of them are. They do have some big cages, and if you want it custom made, we can do it for you. But this is for the standard cage. I think it's 16 by 16 or something like that. This hooks on one side, this hooks on the other side of the wire in the cage. It has a support wire coming across. So this hooks on so that your birds that are in the cage will jump up and they will roost here, helping to keep them clean. So it's a great item. You would want one for every bird that you're going to show. I would suggest, for the heck of it, paint it. Not with a high gloss paint, but with a soft paint. Well, just make it last longer, but it's not necessary. Okay?
Okay. Russ said you look 29 and I look 19. He said the picture is nice and
your
clear.
guess, Gina, is closer to me. 29 and I'm
50?
60 years.
50.
50 years.
50.
50 years. But thanks anyway.
And I seen 29 recently. In my mind, anyways.
I was reading, well, you know me, I read constantly. It had nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I was reading a book before I came to the show, and one of the main characters was an old man at 81. He couldn't walk, couldn't run, was crippled up. I says, damn, he is old. But I got to thinking, hell, I'm going to be 81, and I'm so blessed to have the energy I do now, because so many people at my age do not have the benefits that I do.
I wish I had half the energy you had. Good gracious.
Thank you.
I do. But thank you, Rob. Randy says Pedialyte works for him. That's what he uses.
Pedialyte as a
Energy?
electrolyte. That Pedialyte is a it's fine. Pedialyte you buy at a drugstore, you can buy at a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Randy, if you like it and you're using it, why don't you tell us how much you use in a gallon of water?
Okay.
Always looking for ideas.
Yep.
All right. So
go ahead.
Want me to continue?
Sure.
We talked about the show water. We talked about the feed. For a week before the show, and you can add it with the show water if you're using it, is Viromune. When you go to the show, and you can bet, after every show, including the Baltimore show that we're going to, you will have situations where your birds get sick. As soon as you bring them home, within 3 or 4 or 5 days, they're sick. They may have picked up a virus, or they may have picked up a bacterial infection at the show. What you might want to consider is adding Viromune to the water, the health water that you're going to bring. Viromune is a immune system stimulant. The stronger their immune system is, the better chance that they have to fight it off. So that's something you may want to think about, is adding Viromune to the water to build up their immune system. You're going to try to find the number?
No, I was looking for something I was thinking
okay.
about. No, I forget.
Okay. And then Viromune is not just for show. Viromune is a great product to add to your water maybe once a week on a regular basis, long term, so that they have a strong immune system. But then, if you know you're going to a show, just like we're talking about pre-show, you want to get ready by giving them more Viromune before you go to the show. Am I still talking?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
You're good.
well, why don't you just go to the bathroom or something and I'll finish the show. One of the things some people don't think about is, and I know we're talking about pre-show, and I think I'm pretty much done with pre-show.
Oh yeah.
But when you go home, segregate your birds. Prepare for it before you leave for the show. Have either one section that's all clean and ready to go. When you bring your birds back, don't throw them back in with the rest of your birds, because if they are in fact carrying something, you're inviting it into the loft and you're giving all of the other birds the same disease that one showbird or two showbirds picked up. So when you go home, keep them separate at least a week, longer if possible, because you don't have to worry about breeding. Breeding season's pretty much over. I shouldn't say that. Breeding season's coming up, but most people are not breeding right now. So keep the show birds. Whether you showed one or two, that's easy, or six. But if you showed a whole bunch of birds, you may need a section. But keep them away from the birds that did not go on the show. Give them a reasonable time, a week or two longer if you can, to make sure they're not carrying some sort of disease.
And a lot of times, the birds will come home from the show, and we'll get phone calls saying that the birds, their droppings are real watery. A lot of times that's just stress from going to the show, traveling there, being at the show, coming home from the show.
You learn so much from me. Can I tell people this? And I was talking to my friend Jorge today about that, and about a customer too. Men have a prejudice when it comes to getting good information about their pigeons from women. Our girls know more than 95% of you folks watching this show. Some of our people have been with us for 14, 15, 20 years. Gina's been with us 11 years. And the best teacher is experience, and best teacher is questions. So if you got a question and Gina or Sherry or Kim give you the answer, but don't listen to Veronica. She doesn't know what she's talking about. But any of those three, they know their stuff. The only time they're going to refer you to me is when they get into a situation where they're not sure. So trust Gina, trust Kim, trust Sherry. They know what they're talking about. I wanted to bring that up because they don't think a woman knows what they're talking about.
So most of the times when I get a question, I have a spreadsheet that I type everything in. So when I get a question, I'll type that question in there, and then once I get if I'm unsure, the right answer from Jerry or Dr. Botha or Dr. Miller, then I put it in there, and I can always refer back to it should somebody else have the same question.
Well, there's been instances where you and I are talking, or there's a customer talking, and I'm answering their question, and you have to add, not have to, you graciously add some information that I may have forgotten.
Right. Thank you.
We're very, very concerned about helping you. Hardly a day goes by where people don't call me and they give me the symptoms, and I may say to them, I'll tell you what, I got caller ID. I know your phone number. Do you mind if I do a little bit of research, find out more about what you're telling me by the symptoms you give me, and I call them back? Because I don't know, she was kidding, short-term memory, but I can't remember it all. There's so much.
Right.
But I have a library of books. And if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to give you an answer until I do the research.
Right. And we're not just gonna give you a medicine just so you can medicate them. You may not even need medicine a lot of the times.
Or a lot of times they have the medicine there.
Right. And a lot of people like to medicate, always give medicine, and that could make your birds sick or not lazy, but don't have the energy to fly as long like they used to. So, yeah.
Veronica, would you pull that up? I can't see.
I'll read it.
Okay.
Okay. Lewis has another question. He said, also, my rollers used to fly up to 3 hours on a good day. I have 160 and a tight ball up in the clouds. Some are breaking away and coming down after 45 minutes panting. I think it's upper respiratory. What can I use that will help, but not have to medicate?
Well, Luis, I personally don't think you have a problem. A lot of people would like to have the problem that you have. If your birds are flying 3 hours on a good day, I think that's great because remember, rollers are not high flyers that fly for hours or like a tippler. Your rollers are doing absolutely great. If they're panting, it might be just a condition problem. I hate to see you medicate when your birds are doing as well as you can. But go ahead. You want to mention something?
If it's a respiratory, though, you could use elderberry.
Mm-hmm.
Elderberry juice is very good for respiratory.
That's a natural. Thank you.
That's a natural product, yeah. That was the first one that came to my mind.
See what I mean? I was telling you about me not remembering. That was a great answer. Elderberry juice is used by humans for respiratory issues. So, Luis, if you want, we sell it, but you could go to a health food store and get it.
We also have a couple products from Hilton Herbs for respiratory. All their products are all natural also. Okay. Mark, off-topic question. Would you build your loft next to within 15 to 20 feet of your chicken coop? If no, why not?
Okay. One question kind of leads to another question. In this particular case, are your pigeons and are your chickens given free range? In other words, do the pigeons spend time on the ground, or are your chickens free range in that they're walking all over the place? So that's the question I would have for you. I see no reason why you can't have your chickens close to your pigeons. In my particular case, I have chickens and I have pigeons. My chickens are free range, my pigeons are not. But I see absolutely no problem in doing that. The only thing I'm concerned about, I suppose, is if your pigeons are allowed to peck on the ground, you shouldn't be doing that too much anyways, because they're going to could possibly pick up coccidiosis from the pigeon droppings. But other than that,
Chicken.
I don't think. I'm sorry, did I say it wrong?
From the chicken droppings?
Yeah, from the chicken droppings. So not an issue at all. Thanks, Randy. Randy was suggesting. Go ahead. I'm not supposed to read them.
It's okay. So Randy suggested the Pedialyte, and he said he uses 3 teaspoons per gallon of water on a hot day. Okay, and I wrote that down too.
And a hot day is because a very hot day, the birds are stressed and could become dehydrated, and the electrolytes help with that. Okay. When we're going back to the shows now, we're talking about after the show. I did mention that you should. We'll have to talk about breeding, but we're not going to be able to, are we?
We're not going to have time.
Give us a reason to talk. Did you want to mention something specifically
About breeding?
Breeding?
We'll finish this about the show after the show.
Okay, when you bring your birds home, I already mentioned that though, to keep them segregated, don't mix them all up with your other birds. That's it.
You going to mention amoxicillin?
Well, I did mention amoxicillin mixed with Nutri-Drops.
No, you didn't.
Did I not? Oh no. Okay. And I thank you for that. If you have a history of having issues when you bring your birds home from a show, what you may want to do is, and everybody should have amoxicillin in their loft, is mix amoxicillin 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon with the Nutri-Drops, so that it may, it's not going to help a lot if you pick up a virus, but it will help if they've picked up some sort of a bacterial infection. I want to expand on that a little bit. There is a misconception. People will call and say the birds have coccidiosis, or they have issues with their pigeons' health. They think it's coccidiosis, or it might be worms. Coccidiosis, canker, and worms, I mentioned earlier, are not resistant. Giving them antibiotics like amoxicillin is a complete waste of time. So if they're sick, and your best bet is to go to amoxicillin unless you have the droppings tested and we know you have worms or coccidiosis. Am I confusing people?
No.
Okay.
Hi, Victor. Victor said, my dad had pigeons when he lived in 92113. All the kids had pet pigeons in the 50s there.
What's the 92113? That's a zip code? California.
San Diego.
San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. We're doing everything we possibly can as a company, because it benefits us financially, certainly, to encourage people to encourage their children. And one of the things you may want to consider, and we'll go over time. We're going to probably go over a couple minutes over time, but
it's okay. We started late.
Right. There's a program which I'm the chairman of, and you hear me talk about it all the time. It's called the Legacy Fund Trust. We hope, and I haven't got a lot of this, but I have had a few. If you would be so kind as to consider sending in a small contribution of any size you want, from $1 on up, $10, $20, whatever it is, you send it to me at Foy's, and you make it out to the LFD, and if you have a question, call Kim or Gina or me. We invest that money, all the earned income we make available to help pigeon fanciers in need. Mm-hmm. So if you would like to make a contribution because you like the show, that's a good enough reason. Or because you think Gina is gorgeous, that's a good reason too. And of course, anybody would be gorgeous sitting next to me. How's that? Okay. But anyway, consider sending in a check, make it out to the Legacy Fund Trust. Or a better way is, I opened the show by asking this: if you have a pair of pigeons, they don't have to be champion pigeons, but if you'd like to send us a hen and a cock, we'll auction them off, and all the money that we raise, and if you send them, we'll reimburse you for your shipping. All the money we raise is to help the future of this great hobby. Ow! I'm sorry.
It's okay.
If you don't know, I have a bad shoulder, and it just went out of whack.
Oh. Lonnie said, that's a great hat. Looking good, Jerry.
Thank you, because everybody compliments Gina. And Lonnie, I do appreciate it.
That was real country sounding.
Golly, it's 4 o'clock.
It is. And you know, said not to allow that. Why?
Well, not to allow it is strong. What I'm saying is, be aware that when your pigeons are walking around and pecking at the ground, they're picking up insects, they're picking up worms, and they're picking up other things, trace minerals that they see. Mm-hmm. So my suggestion is, if you do that, have the droppings analyzed on a semi-regular basis, maybe once a year, twice a year. We do that, but you might have a vet locally who can do it, because under a microscope with a sample of their droppings or feces, they can see coccidiosis immediately, real easy to find, and they'll see worms if they're there. So if you allow your birds free range, be cognizant of the fact that you may want to watch out for coccidiosis and worms. You're opening yourself up to that. Right. Luis, I don't remember you sending in questions before. Thank you for being part of this show, because the show is better because of you folks asking the questions, and we appreciate it. We're now on Facebook, and now we're on YouTube. Mm-hmm. We're getting more and more people who are aware of what we're doing. We appreciate that. We recognize we're not experts, but we're in most cases know a lot about birds because that's what we do for a living. Um, but without questions from you, it wouldn't be much of a show because people would get kind of bored hearing from us all the time. So by doing that, what do we have? We've had as many. Well, when we first started, we had 100,000 people. Then we knew that would drop dramatically because a lot of it was first-time viewers. But we still are proud of the fact that 25,000 people watching us is not unusual. So I'm going on and on, but share it with your friends. Tell them, and also the fact that these shows are. If you want to watch this show again tomorrow, or tell a friend it's on our website. You can watch the whole show again. So if you miss something, like my home phone number, if you need it, is 724-843. No, 724-359-5355. And if you want to talk to Gina, your number?
724. It's not my home number, it's my work number. 724-843-6889.
That's for us.
Lewis said he used to call you on the phone a while ago.
No. Well, thank you, Luis. I talk to people all day long, and it's what I do. People sometimes apologize for bothering me. I'm retired from forest. It keeps me going. And if you call me and ask me questions, it's information for future shows. So I thank you for calling me and asking me questions. Don't apologize. It's what I do and what keeps me going.
He's supposed to be retired, but he's not.
Well, I'm tired, and tomorrow I might be retired.
I'm always tired. Anything else before we close?
Going to Baltimore for a show next
Saturday.
Next Saturday, a week from tomorrow. So if you want us to bring something, contact us and we'll pack it up. You'll save on shipping. And if you want to know more about the show, call Gina after the show, 724-843-6889. She'll tell you who to contact if you'd like to go to the show. Either, I don't know whether it's too late to enter birds, but you can go and see the show and talk to other people. Talk to Gina and Kim. They'll both be there, and you get a chance. And it's okay to ask. Don't be embarrassed. If you need an autograph from Gina, she'll autograph, something for you, a catalog or something like that. Or you can even get a picture taken with her.
So, as Jerry said, we will be in Baltimore next Saturday. We are taking stuff to sell. We're taking pre-orders. We're not taking a lot of stuff to sell. So and we're not taking everything. So if there's something specific that you want, like vaccines, or marker bands, or big stuff, call us. We'll pack it. We'll bring it to you for the show. You pay no shipping on it.
I asked Kim and Gina if I could go to the show, and they said they didn't have enough room for me. I wanted to go, honest.
Anyways, so we'll put information on our Facebook page, or you can call me if you have any questions.
We both looked to the left because there's a truck delivering outside. I don't know who the driver is, but evidently doesn't know that we don't take deliveries after 4 o'clock.
He's picking up, not delivering. Anyway, so if you have any questions between now and the next show, you can always call me, or you can call Jerry, or anybody else in the office. We can all answer your questions. If you have anything you'd like us to do the next show or one of our next shows on, just call us, email us, whatever. Just let us know.
If it's a topic we want to help you, right? And we need those kind of inputs.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
I think we have to go.
So our next show will be Friday, October 23rd.
Should we dress up for Halloween?
We'll see, maybe.
We'll think about it.
And then on that show, we'll talk about the Ohio show that is October 30th. So if you have any questions on the Baltimore or the Ohio show, give us a call. We're taking pre-orders for both of them now. Give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help. So we'll see you again Friday, October 3rd. Everybody have a safe and healthy weekend.
Give 'em